Hello and welcome to this summer art camp provided by Arts for All Nevada. So today we are going to do a solar system with the sun and two planets, and then we're going to think about the stars and the Milky Ways behind. So what you will need is a large piece of black paper, some water-based markers, a spray bottle with water or maybe a paintbrush and water, a pencil, scissors. You're going to need three shapes or three sizes of coffee filters, but you may have to cut them down. So you might need some things to draw around. So I've got a plastic cup and a paper plate, some paper towels to work on top of it because it gets a little bit messy, glue sticks, either soft pastels, or the other thing I've used is sidewalk chalks in some different colours. So let me push everything to the side so that you can get a better view of what we're actually going to do. And then I've got some images to show you to give you some ideas. So there's our solar system that we're going to do. Yours may look slightly different. They do not have to be the same as mine. It can be your own ideas. So these are actually copies of photographs that are taken by the Hubble telescope. So they are scientific photographs that they can look at them and record details that they can see. This is of the sun, and we can tell it's the sun by the bright colours, the warm colours that it's using. There is a texture or a pattern on it which suggests that it's full of gases that are moving and swirling around. We've got the slight glow from it with the solar flares coming up. These are all things that you may decide to put on your sun. This one is a photograph of Jupiter, and it's not really the colours you would normally expect. So I suspect there's a filter on top of the camera and they're looking at certain things. But I really like this for the bands of colour that mix together. It almost looks like it's marbled or tie-dyed, and it goes all stripes all the way across. These are not actually on the planet, these are shadows of the moon. So that's what the dark spots are. And you can also see it doesn't look flat. You've got a slight shading going round the outside, so it makes it look like a sphere. And again, that's something you might decide to put on yours. So what I've got to show you, there's a book, it's called Stars, Stars, Stars. A very simple book, but I just wanted you to have a look at the illustrations to see that you can use colours or shapes just to show that your planets or your sun are different from each other. Stars, stars, stars. Stars, stars, stars. I want to see planets and stars. Bright stars twinkling above big city lights, distant planets glowing with black country nights. Constellations that take shape when I connect them with lines, Milky Way stars shining 200 billion times. The sun that burns with golden light, hot planet Mercury turning slowly in the night. Venus, the evening star, first planet to shine in the twinkling sky. Blue-green Earth with the dusty moon orbiting by. Stormy Mars glowing red in the vastness of space. Giant planet Jupiter moving with grace. Saturn circled by rings and Uranus spinning on its side. Windy Neptune and tiny Pluto orbiting wide. Shooting stars streaking tails of sparkling light. The Big Dipper holding a scoop of night. Stars, stars, stars. I want to see planets and stars tonight. Now, there is some information about the different planets, so rather than me read it through, what I will do is I'll leave the book open for a little bit and you can maybe stop the video and you can read the information that's on it. Also, there's some explanations of some of the words that are used within the story, and they might give you some ideas of things that you can put in your solar system. So again, I will leave it open so you can read it. Some words that I'm going to use that you may or may not be familiar with. Warm colours, cold colours and perspective. Now you may have seen that this is a colour wheel, and it shows us our primary colours, our red, yellow and blue, and our secondary colours, purple, orange and green. But we can also divide them into warm colours, and these are the colours that we think of for things being that are hot. So things like fire, we tend to think of it being yellows, oranges and reds, which, as you can see, they're all together on one side of the colour wheel. So this tends to be our hot colours that we think of things being. Cold colours are on the opposite side. So we've got our purples, our greens and our blues. Our purples, our greens and our blues. Let's do the blue, let's do it in the same order as the colour wheel. And if you were doing like a snowy picture, a wintry picture, you'd probably use those sort of colours because it helps to make us feel like it's cold when we're looking at it. So colours can tell us what colours things are, but they also can make us feel certain things. Perspective talks about trying to show that there is space, that you're going into things. So with our planets, we're going to use it, but I'll draw you a very simple tree. That's close to us because it's nice and large. If it's further away, it's going to be smaller. Also, colours will be darker the closer they are to you, and they will be lighter further away. Also, detail. If it's closer to us, we're going to be able to see lots of detail, but if it's further away, we won't be able to see that. So those very simple things help us to show perspective or depth in our picture, and we're going to use that today with ours. So first thing we're going to work on is the actual planets. And as I said, we're just using coffee filters. Now you can buy different sizes of coffee filters. We need an 8-inch, a 7-inch and a 3.5 inch. But unless you actually have those with you, what we can do is actually cut coffee filters to the right size. So if you need to buy them, get the biggest one you can. And then I've got a paper plate. I'm just going to draw around. It's roughly the 7 inches. It doesn't need to be perfectly the right size, but roughly. And then the plastic cup is about the same size as the 3.5, and it's the centre circle of these. Once you've done that, you can cut them down as best you can. It's a little bit fiddly because the paper is quite thin. Do the best you can. So that's my small one, and this is my next size. And the reason we're doing them as different sizes is, again, to try and show some perspective on our space. Our biggest one is going to be the sun, because that's the most important, or the centre of our solar system. So when you've done that, we're going to actually put some colour on them. Now, I suggest you put down a paper towel. The colour bleeds through, in other words, it goes right the way through these. So just to protect whatever you're working on. So my sun is going to be my warm colours, my yellows, my oranges and reds. And rather than colour it all just straight over, think about your swirling gases that you've got on it. And you're going to go all the way over. However you decide to show that you've got your gases on your sun, using yellows, the oranges and the red. You don't need to cover the whole thing, you'll see why. But I'm going to just quickly mix my colours all the way over. Go right to the edges, don't forget about those edges. And then we've got some reds. Maybe I'm just going to do some red dots in it. The more colour you put on it means that your sun or your planet will stand out more, but you obviously don't have to colour all of it. If it's only got a little bit, that will just mean it's a little bit paler. I'm going to make this one like almost like an Earth planet. It don't have to be planets in our solar system. You can do another solar system with different planets on it. But I'm just going to try and show some land. And you can see I'm doing it really, really quickly. You can use several greens if you like, or several blues. This one's going to have quite a lot of colour on it, so it might be a little bit darker. And then I've got my small one here, and this one I'm going to do stripes going across. Maybe I'm going to have a mix of warm and cold colours on this one. Maybe I'm going to put some dots on there as well. And when you've covered the whole way over them, what you're going to do is you're going to take a spray bottle or some water and some paintbrush, and you are just going to add water all over them, enough to get the colours to mix together. If you do it with a paintbrush, you can sort of decide how they're going to mix together, whether they're going to do it in straight lines, or if you're going to have the swirls. And you can start seeing you're going to get different colours as they mix together, different shades of colours. So I'm going to put that to the side, let that dry. It will take quite a while, but let them dry, and then you can work on the background. Now, before we actually go on to the background, I'm going to show you these again, are photographs from the Hubble telescope. And you can see this is the stars and planets. But you think of it just being black with white little dots, but you can see there's white dots, there's brighter orange, different sizes, even some Milky Ways in there. So you can actually, even on your plain black background, we can use different colours to show that there's different things going in the background. They're all pretty small though. They're going to be a lot smaller than our planets, so that's going to help us show some perspective on our piece. And this one, it's just, you can see a galaxy with the colours going round in this sort of spiral shape. So that might be something else you can put on your piece. Remember from the book there was things like comets and shooting stars that you can add. So we're going to use our big piece of black paper. I'd use it landscape, so it's long across the bottom and short away from me. And you can obviously use your pastels or my sidewall chalks. Now I'm going to use another one of my blank circles just to give me some glow for the sun. So I'm going to put it where I want my sun to be, and just using the edge of the chalks, I'm just going to work my way round it. Maybe even put some red in there. And just blend it, just to give it a little bit of the solar flares coming off there. And that will give us a glow for when we put the sun into it. And then I'm going to use, I can just do little dots, or maybe even make them a little bit bigger for the stars. Maybe I'm going to blend them a little bit so they look like they're not quite as sharp. Maybe I'm going to take some with shooting stars or comets. Maybe I'm going to have some light blue ones in there. Maybe I'm going to do a galaxy in the distance, so I'm going to use some swirls going round. Maybe some different colours in there. And then, because it's chalk and it's a long way away, we can't see too much detail, we can swirl it around to get our galaxy. And let's put another one in here. I'm going to do it in a slightly different colour. The beauty with this, if you don't like it, you can just rub it and it become a lot more blurred and you can't see the details so much, so you can play around with the shapes. This one's a little bit bigger. I'm going to get those wispy tails coming in. And you can, if you've blended too much, you can go over the top and add more to it. Okay, so work on your background, decide what things you want to do, and then you can come back to your planets and your sun. These ones I did earlier, so they're actually dry, so please make sure they're dry because they won't stick very well. And just using a glue stick, glue your shapes. Make sure you do all the edges and do a little bit on the middle. They don't have to go all the way on. This one's actually so big, it's actually going to go off the edge of my paper. And you can decide where you want your other planets to be. So maybe my Earth is going to be over here. And this is my other planet, which is a long way away because it's a lot smaller. And maybe that's going to be over there and it's going to go off the edge. So stick them down. When they're stuck down, what you can do is you can turn it over and either just turn the pieces over so you can't see the edges, or trim them carefully so that the edges don't get torn, or your planet or your sun doesn't get torn. You might even want to carry on a little bit further. You might want to put some white or colours on your planet. I'm going to put some clouds on mine, or some of the atmosphere. Maybe you're going to put a ring round your planet. So you can decide what sort of information you want to carry on and add to your solar system. I've stuck with 3 planets because I think it fills up the area, but obviously if you want to do more, you can do. So play around, choose what you want to do, and make your own solar system. Thanks for joining me today, and I will see you next time. Bye.